So welcome everyone to our webinar today in our series of Conemis webinars. The topic today will be the fast lane for data migration. We'll be talking about what we are offering as Conemis to enable a fast lane to the cloud for you and focus on data migration, how we automate and support that. The fast lane to the cloud for us means that we help you migrate off of on-premise applications, any kind of legacy application, but also off of cloud applications that you may have outgrown, and help you move to new applications in the cloud, especially in the CX, customer experience, and ERP, enterprise resource planning space. So moving to these applications is what we support of on-premise, of cloud applications, of databases, of files that are extracted and consolidate all of these or individual instances of these to the cloud. If we look at migrations, how they work today and how they run today, there are a lot of issues. It is one of the most underestimated challenges when migrating to the cloud, when there are large transformation projects and migrations, transitions to one or several new applications are necessary. Migrations are often an afterthought, especially the data migration piece of it. And we see that reflected in market studies. Actually, 83% of conventional migrations which already use some kind of tooling, scripts, etc., they do not fulfill the expectations that the business and the customer in general has. 30% of them are over time and 41% are over budget. It can actually lead to complete failure of a project. We see that in the news. We see that also in our experience when we look into the market, that some migrations, some transitions to new applications fail completely and customers fall back to the old applications with a lot of budget and a lot of sweat invested in vain. And actually, this is something that can be improved. That is what we tackle. And when we look at a contribution with Conemis software to support the migration process, we not only make them successful, but we actually help accelerate the whole process. An average we see across the projects we are supporting is a 40% acceleration in migrations. It depends on the size and complexity of a project, but this is a significant contribution to speeding up projects beyond just making them successful somehow. We make sure that they stay in time and also in budget. How do we do this? What we at Conemis see as fundamental and essential to making the fast lane fast and safe for customers is looking at it from a holistic perspective and working with a holistic approach. That means we start with the support of the whole migration process in our software with application assessment. We automate the assessment of legacy applications. So whatever on-premise applications may exist with complex customizations, configurations, loads of data. Some of the data may be outdated or bad quality. We help with the automation to assess this properly, to enable the teams who work on the assessment and prepare and plan a migration to really do this in a proper way. Then we support the data migration itself. We believe it's essential to have a consistent digitalization of the data migration process to make it repeatable and to make sure that the risk of human error is significantly reduced, almost eliminated in a lot of steps. Of course, it still needs experts to run the automation, but we can significantly reduce any kind of human error by automating it, by also automating complex transformations in the whole process. I will talk more about that in the coming slides and elaborate a little on how we do that and what we contribute in that space. And last but not least, for the holistic approach, it is essential to systematically look at transition management, managing the change that is coming with such a transformation project and a transition, a migration to new applications. It is making sure that the team that's working on such a transition has a place to collaborate, and project management, both from the customer side and potentially from a consulting company that's working with the customer, that they have a clear insight into what's happening and have a chance to manage it based on the insight and the data that is collected throughout the project. This is what we see as essential to providing the fast lane. And let's look a little deeper into the individual aspects. First of all, data migration. It is something that we believe needs to be covered door to door if we want to ensure not only efficiency, but also reliability in the whole process. Whatever is not covered by any kind of systematic, consistent software is left to chance that you find the right person who has the expertise, who stays focused, who actually can stay on top of the activities, even in typically very stressful periods before go lives or even during testing. So we believe that door-to-door coverage of the process in a consistent fashion is one key element to make the whole transition process fast and safe. And we do believe that all elements of conversion, wherever data needs to be converted from an old format to a new format, consolidation is necessary, splitting, maybe even changing content in a field. If that is covered by software and made repeatable and reliable for one or several go lives after proper testing, then this is something that really helps eliminate human error and eliminates missing data or generally missing a step in the conversion. Connectors, connecting to the source applications. If there's any legacy application or set of applications on-premise or in the cloud or any combination of them, it can be homegrown applications or standard applications that are customized. We believe that to be sure that things are successful and to be sure that this process of extraction, getting the data out of the old applications, covering this is essential for speed as well. And that is why we believe in pre-building these connectors for source applications and doing the same on the destination side. So when moving data into the new application or set of applications, which are typically in the cloud nowadays, then we also believe that connectors really connecting into the applications instead of having any kind of break in the process and taking converted data and then manually uploading it or uploading it through built-in mechanisms in the destination application themselves. This creates additional risk. This creates another break in the process, and we believe that providing connectors for that also helps improve reliability and improve speed in the process. So covering the whole process with connectors on source and destination side, directly integrated with the core platform, pre-built and maintained, that is a key element for making data migration successful. Automated error analysis and reconciliation. In years of experience in running and supporting data migration projects on our platform, we have seen that the ability to quickly understand and categorize errors, especially in large migrations where a lot of different errors can occur, is something that really contributes to project success. It makes it easier for the teams that are working on the migration to quickly understand and identify the issues, to quickly understand what needs to be done to solve them, and they have a well-prepared mean to communicate with the customer. It's already in the Conemis software, matured over the years. It is a report that's easily consumable by a customer, is easily understood, and can then lead to very quick decisions, supports the speed of decisions with customers and within the whole team to resolve issues and then eventually reconcile them. So resolving issues and especially rerunning failed data after the issues have been resolved is automated within the Conemis software. It's a big productivity driver, and it makes the communication in the whole team easier. It releases and relieves stress from the whole team and makes it easier for people to keep a clear head and move along and take the right decisions, especially in a critical phase. We've done that in a number of projects that are very large, also a large amount of small projects. So the software can be applied from small to very large and complex projects. Examples I want to mention here is when we look at the individual steps that are all automated on the Conemis platform. We have projects with way over 50,000 individual steps that are being automated for a migration. We have 25,000 CRM users as an example in one project. We have other projects where we have hundreds and actually several hundreds of millions of records if we look at the test runs and the production go lives and even synchronization between source and destination application on our platform. We are processing per project 100 million and more records of data, and 1 terabyte for even a go live is something that has been processed and is successfully processed by the Conemis platform. So we are working up to fairly large application migrations, and these are certainly no values that even take the Conemis platform to its limits. We can go way beyond them even without any decrease in performance or any issues we would expect. Data migration in our approach builds on application assessment. So an ideal world where we can cover all steps in the migration with the Conemis software. We start with application assessment, or at least it's very early in the process before we even begin with the actual migration activities. We want to understand what we have in the sources. We want to understand what we have in the data. We want to generally understand the requirements. And here the Conemis platform brings a big benefit by automating that process and making it very easy to execute and manage. We truly have a one-click assessment. Yes, there are some means out there to maybe run a script or go into source applications and collect the data, but that requires experts, both with technical expertise to run these scripts and extracts and compile them, but also with functional expertise to understand what it means and where to look. With the Conemis software, we use the pre-built connectors we have for source applications, and we assess any kind of source application that we are supporting automatically, collect the information. The software intuitively provides it in the UI, and it can be run without any technical expertise. So any person, including myself, can run the Conemis Analyzer for any source application that's supported officially without any expertise required in detail. We have an intuitive representation of all the consolidated information in the Conemis UI, no manipulation or putting together a presentation necessary. We see data, the data model, we see customizations in the application, we see all customizations in the data model, in workflows, and we see data volumes by object, and we can understand from that and then look at the results to define what of that is really relevant for the migration itself. Oftentimes, there is a lot of historical data that is not relevant to bring over. It can be archived in the process of migration, but of course, the core of the data and maybe recent years needs to be brought over. That can be scoped in the UI, in the Conemis software. It's also very intuitive to use. We have had customers who, after just a quick introduction, did all the scoping themselves in the Conemis software, and then we continued the process with that scope to run the migration. We do get instant results. So the Conemis software, in the assessment, you trigger it and you get the results after it is scanned. No need to wait for consolidation or anything like that. To complete the picture, the transition management that I already mentioned, it is tailored to managing migration projects to first of all plan a project based on detailed past recordings. So what we do at Conemis, and we will have other webinars that dive deeper into that, but what we have with Conemis is we keep the knowledge of past projects. If you leverage the Conemis software and you run a project, the knowledge that you gather, all the details, how long it took, what steps you took to make it successful, what issues were encountered, and how were they solved, all of that knowledge is automatically, without the need of entering anything by a person, all of this information is retained within the Conemis software, and it is easy to leverage that information to plan new project based on this knowledge. In alternative scenarios that we see out there, you rely on a few geniuses that have the experience and have done similar things before and have a gut feeling for how you properly plan the project. You may have some simple metrics underneath it, but here we can really use detailed past data across all the recorded projects we have to properly plan a new project. We have live insight into all Conemis-based projects. So whatever project you're running in your organization, or maybe several of them, you have a central dashboard where you see progress down to the second, including benchmarks and KPIs and statistics on progress. It's generated automatically with the Conemis software, and it leads to these zero effort genuine reports. So when we look at traditional projects with tools in place, potentially data integration software in place, partners tell us, very large partners with a lot of experience tell us that it takes them hours and days sometimes per week to collect all the information to compile a status report. Here, for the data migration piece, for sure, you have zero effort and you have it available at any point, at any second during the project. You can look at it and see where progress stands. We have, in the knowledge we're gathering for the whole transition management approach by Conemis, we have the recorded raw data, which shows us also methodology that is being used, different methodologies, different approaches in different projects. We can systematically see which one works best for what kind of application, industry, size of customer. All of that information is available. The duration, not only of the whole project, but of all the individual steps. How long did it take for a specific data object to be completely set up for transformation? How long did it take to load it in detail? How many different load steps did it take? Everything is recorded in the software. And issues that have occurred in the past, if we encounter an issue again in a project, we can look at the past data and we can identify if this issue has already occurred and how it has been solved. So we have a broad knowledge base to make sure that projects are successful in the future. All of this is on the Conemis platform. It is the Conemis Transition Cloud. It is one platform built specifically for migration success. Each of the modules, so all of the elements I presented before, application assessment, data migration, and transition management, each of these groups of functionality can be used separately as a module, but they can also be used together on one common platform for full coverage of the whole process and leveraging all the benefits. The products, the modules in the product are called the Conemis Analyzer for the assessment and scoping. It can be used even before a project starts. It can help a customer to quickly understand what they have in their legacy applications and to quickly understand at least a ballpark estimate of what it would take them to move to a new application, to identify specific areas of complexity where they should take a closer look or plan more deeply. This can be used early on and then also helps once the project actually kicks off to keep an overview and manage scope systematically in software instead of just documents. The Conemis Migrator is the engine that runs all of the conversion and all of the migration, exporting, importing, conversion, etc. And Navigator is what gives us overview, visual live tracking, the data-driven decisions, communication, consistent communication across the whole team. They can be used individually, but they run on the same platform, and when used together, they're integrated seamlessly from the beginning. Let's take a quick look at what it looks like in the software on a high level. All the AI, all the data-driven methodology in the Conemis software, the management of the project, and customer trust start with retaining and representing knowledge. We make sure that the process of data migration from a black box is turned into a fully transparent solution. The customer can track progress and the whole team that's working on it. Even if it's a distributed large team, they can all keep track. They have one single source of truth of all steps in progress. And early on, we can show that project manager can present that to a customer and make it available for them. And in looking at a new project, we can bring the experience. Any partner of Conemis who has used it in several projects can bring that knowledge to a new project before it even starts, to draw on it for better planning and for a data-driven conversation with the customer. The analyzer is for automated assessment of legacy applications. We spoke about that already. Here we get a quick glimpse at how it's represented. We get basic statistics of the instance, and a lead consultant can run this. A customer can run this themselves. And then once we have the analysis, once we have an overview, we have all the details, all the objects, all the fields, all relationships, number of fields per objects, number of records per objects, types of the fields, types of the relationships, then an architect can go in and scope it. Can be a customer architect. We have had customers who very quickly did all the scoping themselves and then handed it over to the transition team at large, the migration team at large, to run based on that scope. We have intuitive mapping and collaboration in a central place for all conversion. I think that's a key element. We are really covering every step, complex transformations, all the process from exporting, including filters, transformation of data, consolidation of data, and then importing. It's covered in a seamless process by the Conemis software, and we can represent all kinds of transformations, ID translation, LOV and pick list mappings, for those of you who are familiar with all these details. This is all covered by the software. No one needs to do any manual steps outside of it on a local machine without traceability, without reliability in the process. It's all covered by the software. And once we have it tested, we make sure that we take all that and we keep it in the software and we point it to a production instance to run one or several go lives depending on how you have structured the migration. And throughout the whole process, we have clear management of time and budget. So once we start a production migration, any person can stay on top of it. In particular, a manager, project manager, potentially from the customer side, can, together with the consulting team or the migration team in-house or from a consultant, can keep track of what's happening, gets the statistics live to see how is import progressing, how is conversion progressing, how are we progressing with the planned activities it takes to make it successful. Are we on track? What's the performance of the loading? How many API calls are we using, etc. One simple dashboard with the possibility to drill into details, to stay on top and make sure that things stay in time and in budget. If there's any exception, that's a simple and effective basis for communication. It's very clear and decisions can be taken quickly based on this information. To sum it up, what do we do at Conemis? What can we contribute to any migration project, small or large? It's AI automated data migration. So we use that data and we run the AI on it to make sure that planning is better, benchmarking is better, and of course, as many steps as possible are automated to bring speed and success in any move of a customer to cloud applications. We automate analysis, starting with the analysis and then continuing with all steps of automation. We continue as much as possible to enable that. We give the whole team, including all stakeholders that are involved in the migration process in any shape or form, we give them a single source of truth, a place of collaboration where everyone, offshore team, onshore team, customer, distributed customer teams, they all work on one platform. They see everything that's happening. They have a clear foundation for communication, and it's a knowledge-driven platform that gives insight and control to any kind of migration that it serves. So that's the overview, the slides. I hope I could give you an impression of what Conemis stands for, what the fast lane to data migration means, and how we can really make migrations fast and safe in a unique way. I hope I answered quite a few of the question marks that may have been in some of your heads already, but now I'm happy to open for questions. We have a little bit of time left. Feel free and let me know what you're interested in.